big picture concept of us working and writing what we call sound public policy. In 2010, Cobb Hunter, we worked with her, and she introduced the only maps for the new congressional district that had no minority district. And I was like, whoa, what's that about? And it had competitive districts. It had two competitive districts that meant that people of color could win, or people of not of color could win. And there was one emerging in the high 30s. We consider competitive to be within 10%. The winner would win by less than 10%, that's competitive. And so that didn't happen. The Democrats all wanted 2 majority safe districts for black people. The Republicans all wanted 1, in fact, black people in the Clyburn district. And so the idea is everybody's fighting for safe districts, which depresses voter participation to the lowest in the industrial world, and yields the least competitive elections in the nation that result in things like we spend all our time fighting over abortions after 24 weeks. You know, things that aren't really dinner table conversation. We're not really worried about whether Sam and Joe are like getting married. And so it's not working. And so we have, most people know that it's not working. So we have a winning thing, and people are wondering, how do you get politics out of it? We spent well over a year working to upgrade a bill that we had in that allowed the legislators to appoint the independent redistricting commission to find out that it doesn't work, that the legislatively appointed independent redistricting commission ends up being controlled by the legislature, came up with a new plan, the Citizens Redistricting Commission, which is a great plan. We have a great plan, a great model for sound public policy. We can't get it passed. We have an idea to get it passed. We can't sell the idea to the people that can make it happen. And if we can't get Republican leadership and Democratic leadership to push this thing, it's just aspirational. That's not necessarily a bad thing for us to do. I think what is worse is for us to spend our time getting people really fired up and engaged in a battle that we know is a losing battle as opposed to an aspirational battle. You can analogize it to the work that we did in 2014 on Medicaid expansion. This failure to pass Medicaid expansion was evil. That's what we came up with. People are dying over over just a policy issue that the people that are making the wrong decisions, it doesn't affect their lives or their families. They're killing people. That needs to be confronted and raised hell about, but we weren't going to win it. We knew we couldn't win that battle when we went into it, and we went into it with the idea of changing the dialogue about it. And the legislature, the year that this was in 2013 at Penn Center, we decided we were going to do a mass action at the State House on the first day of the legislature. And then subsequent to that, we had a series of direct actions where 39 people got arrested. And what happened was it went from the fall of that year, 2016, all the pundits and the politicians saying, it's over, we're not going to talk about it, we're not going to talk about Medicaid expansion, we're simply not going to do it, to where they spent literally 6 weeks talking about it. They would not have spent 6 weeks talking about it if we hadn't done that. That 6 weeks they spent talking about it, we watched some Democrats grow some backbone. We watched one of the most amazing things that's happened in my political lifetime was Glenn McConnell was running the Senate. He was president of the Senate at the time. And Brad Hutto challenged the bill that came out of the state that was amended by Tom Davis. You may not know these people, but you know we do, and they're moving to try and nullify Obamacare. That House passed a bill using the word nullify, which is the same language they used during the Civil War. And so we were able to like lift up the contradictions and the stupidity of what they were doing, and then had Glenn McConnell, the Republican president of the Senate, find their bill out of order. And so none of that drama would have played out if we hadn't decided months earlier, we're going to make an issue of this. So we're in a position where we have to decide whether we're going to try and do something that actually could win, and that actually could win is that county level petition initiative that you've all heard us talk about, doing a statewide petition initiative and using the county level laws to actually get more votes in a legislator's district that they have. I'm not getting any acceptance. I have people saying, that's a great idea, I'm with you all the way, and then they just kind of drift off, and then they don't talk, and they say, well, you know, I got business partners, or, you know, I've only got so much political capital. And the reality is, folks, this is the same struggle that people have been fighting and dying. I mean, the people that run this show, they will kill you to continue running the show, that's quite clear. And so we can't expect to be able to vote them out of power. We have to organize, and we have to build a capable movement that's here for the long run. So I think that the network is at a deciding point where we have to decide whether we're gonna do this as an aspirational thing, or whether we're gonna actually try and follow through with doing a statewide, county-level petition to try and compel as much as we can this question. I wrote and Cobb Hunter introduced, and Mike Fanning introduced in the Senate, a full bill about the Citizens Redistricting Commission, and a resolution, it's called a joint resolution for a constitutional amendment, to be on the ballot in November 2020. But that's the goal. Can we make them let us vote on it? So even if we could make them let us vote on it, once the citizens all say, you're damn right, we want to draw the lines, it goes back to the legislature for 2/3 of them to say, okay, we agree with the citizens. So the system is really set up to screw us. It was designed to disenfranchise the peasants. Tillman recognized at the time it was unfortunate, but he's gonna have to disenfranchise the white peasants with disenfranchise the black peasants. And so, since there hasn't been any gain in economic income since 1970, the peasant base is growing and nobody's representing them. That's our good news, is our base is expanding. They need honest revolutionary leadership to make systemic change. And I'm not willing to see us give up our principles and do things that for wrong reasons. So our fork in the road now is trying to figure out whether we can get the type of trustworthy leadership from the Republicans and Democrats to challenge, to raise their teams to the field to do the countywide petition. I think we could get the Democratic clubs all over the state to do it. We've got 2 presidential campaigns that have been asking, can they get involved? But if it's just the Democrats, we're not gonna get the 2/3 majority to pass it. So it's aspirational, let's recognize that. I mean, is that what we wanna do, and do it with the notion we're not gonna pass it? So this is a discussion that we probably need to have a separate meeting on next week, soon, because I'm just hearing back from, I've been through three state chairs now. I've got a good state chair in the Democrats, and I lost the good one I had with the Republicans. Maybe not lost completely, because he's worried that working with us would impinge his business relationships and things like that. So these are things that we're trying to orchestrate that would make it work by explaining to people the value and the importance of it. And that's a really painful discussion, to be able to explain to somebody how it's not really working. You know, we are really one of the poorest states in the nation, our education system's screwed up, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and we could change it. But you don't want to risk your upper middle class lifestyle for that. Well, fuck you. So that's where we are. That's where we are. Questions?